Template design. We recommend that your design visuals are a realistic interpretation of how the final website would look, showing all functionality available. To do this, you should be very familiar with Contegro's modules and their various options, and also have a good grasp of website usability so that your design is user-friendly, functional and informative. We suggest that the templates and styles provided are intended to be as a starting point to the endless possibilities of designing a website on the Contegro platform. Any parameters are stated for your reference, otherwise you can take as much artistic license with any module, embedded graphics and CSS that you require to produce professional and very functional websites for your clients. Design a visual showing at least 2 key website pages, allowing for different template layouts to accommodate 1, 2 or 3 columns, for example. Create your visuals at 100% with 72 dpi resolution in a graphics program such as Photoshop or Fireworks so that your artwork is pixel perfect for the web, and use web-safe fonts that are available to most browsers to give a realistic look. Referring to your design visual on screen or on a printout, draw lines and rectangles to represent the parameters for containers and modules. Mark in container IDs and module names for each template required. Our default files use IDs such as CT for container top and CF for container footer. Templates can encompass an unlimited number of containers, and each container may contain an unlimited number of modules. Remember that the default template files provided are just to get you started. Once you are familiar with these and you are confident with your own CSS skills, you can change container IDs to suit your own practices. It's recommended to clarify any design elements and intended functionality that are unclear at this stage. Every element on the design visual should be mapped to a Contegro module. However, if something is unconfirmed, you can add a module in later, either individually on a page or as a global change through the Template Manager. Template files are needed to map containers to and are used by the Template Manager. Within the Template Manager, modules and global settings are added and adjusted. The default site already has a number of these set up for you to get started with. So within my HTML editor, I'm going to address the home template first by opening the matching ASCX file. You will see default code that gives the default site its structure. Later we will look at adding modules and updating the CSS file, which adds the element of design to your site. I need to map the containers marked on my visual, and I'm going to use the default code as a base by updating the Contegro container code currently there and removing or adding them as required. I'm also adding extra design divs to achieve the design in CSS. Once you are familiar with the default Contegro code and you are confident with your CSS skills, you can change the IDs for Contegro containers and the surrounding design divs to suit your own practices. I have finished adding my containers and design divs, so I will FTP the file to the server and see the result in the Template Manager. Opening a template within the Template Manager will automatically show any customized changes that have been made, which will also be replicated throughout existing pages using the same template. I'm now going to map the modules from my design into the template. When a new container has been added, the Add Module, Remove Module functions will be off, indicated by the red crosses. You will need to turn on both functions to successfully add new modules to existing pages. Remember to do this if you need to add new modules and containers in the future. You can set global functionality in each template for modules such as the banner, category list, navigation and custom code modules. So for now, I will update the category list settings for the spare container, add a global banner on the right side, adjust the navigation settings in the footer, and add 2 HTML snippets for my site's contact and share information in the 2 new custom code modules. For detailed information and functionality on each Contegro module, refer to the Core Modules section in the user guide or see the Core Modules video series. For a simple site, you may only need the home and inner templates such as the 2-column template. But for a more complex site, your design may require a template for each main section. You will need to complete this process for each template required. You will find it helpful if your design visuals are accurate and your pre-planning stage was thorough, as you shouldn't need to touch the Css Files or Template Manager again during the content loading process. Taking a look at our default site, you will see it has reflected the changes and additions I have made in the template file and Template Manager. The next step is to amend the CSS files to achieve our design. Within my HTML editor, I'm going to open template.css, which applies the layout and structure of my templates for my proposed site design. You can change any class or attribute within this file to suit your design. There are other CSS files for fonts and core modules which we will look at later. The layout technique that is used will allow for a liquid center and fixed sides and is compliant with current W3C standards and can be set in your template by specifying one of 4 pre-set classes on the main content wrapper. Layout 1 is a default 3-column layout. Layout 2 is a 2-column layout with a left side. Layout 3 is a 2-column layout with a right side, and Layout 4 is a 1-column layout. If you want to use your own column layout techniques, remember to reflect your changes in the ASCX files. I'm going to map a few styles to start with and then paste in styles I have prepared earlier. I've also sliced up my design visuals for background graphics and all the necessary default buttons. I will FTP my changed template.css file and the images folder to the live server. You will see that the structure matches my design with background images I have added, padding, margins and column widths, which are all specified in the template.css file. Let's take a look at the default theme.css file for font styling. As with all Contegro CSS files, you should customize this file to replicate your design. Default class selectors and ID selectors that match the module have been created for you, so alter the property and value to reflect your design as required. Set styles for paragraph, links, headings and list styles within this file. The global styles for lists and pagination in any core or add-on module such as page and category lists or the product catalog add-on module are initially styled in the CSS file. For now, I'm going to update the default theme with styles I have prepared earlier so that you can quickly see that our template setup is now almost finished. After I refresh the browser, I can see that there are still some styles that need to be individually addressed until I'm happy with the integration. So to finalize this process, I will methodically amend the CSS of each relevant module by checking the changes I make in my HTML editor against the results in the live site. To individually style modules, use the corresponding CSS file to do so. Prefix any ID to the beginning of any class for both containers and design divs. By using this approach for container IDs, it enables you to display the same module differently within each container. For example, in this category list.css, the global instance will target all category lists throughout your site. If any different attributes such as width, height, and background color are needed, create another instance of the main class and prefix it with an appropriate selector ID or name, and delete anything that isn't needed or changed. In this example, layout 1 as a prefix will target category lists within the main wrapper. This next instance targets the CS container, and the last instance is targeting the primary content container in the home template. You will see the same approach here for the left and right containers. One has a green background and the other a red background. This navigation.css file is used for the breadcrumb and navigation modules. I'm going to paste in my prepared CSS for an example. The navigation module is a very flexible module and can display menus in many combinations for a variety of purposes, such as primary and secondary navigation, based on the site tree or by uniquely selected pages in both slide and static displays. Selector IDs are used here again to differentiate the navigation module in the CT container. You will see that each level of the global navigation can be styled individually. The main point to remember for the navigation module is that the selector called Rad Menu refers to all slide navigation menus, and Rad Menu Static refers to any static navigation menus. Please refer to the Contegro user guide for full details on setting up this module. My integration is finished. I'm confident that the templates are set up correctly and styles for all core modules are reflecting the proposed design. Ready to hand over to the website administrator for content loading, editing and search engine optimization.